Have you ever felt that as the years go by, you've started to notice things that once went unseen? I'm not talking about tired eyesight. I'm talking about something much deeper, things that young eyes don't see, but only time can reveal. In the rush of youth, we seek beauty in appearances, recognition in applause, and hurry in everything. But it's only in maturity that we discover where true beauty lies. In the patience that calms, not in the empathy that comforts, not in the presence that heals, in the silences that speak. This video is an invitation to you who have lived, who have felt, who have lost and started again. To you who carry stories in your gaze and wisdom in your wrinkles. Let's discover together the invisible beauty that only those past 60 can clearly perceive. Because what youth calls age, we call wealth of the soul. By the end of this video, you won't just recognize yourself. You'll take pride in everything you've become. You'll see with new eyes, and perhaps for the first time, you'll see yourself fully. The value of being present. In youth, being present seems natural. You show up, join conversations, are physically available. But over time, life teaches us that's not enough. True presence isn't just about the body, it's about the whole soul being there. It's different, deeper, rarer. In maturity, you begin to realize how often you were with someone without truly being there. You were beside them, but your mind was elsewhere. You replied but didn't listen. You smiled but didn't connect. And so life, with its immense patience, starts teaching you that presence is something else. That physical presence is the bare minimum. What truly matters is being there with an attentive heart, a free mind, and time fully given. Being present means sitting with someone and feeling no rush to leave. It's listening to a repeated story as if it were the first time. It's paying attention to what isn't being said, to the weighted silences, the pauses that hide feelings. It's looking into the eyes of someone you love and seeing what words could never translate. And perhaps that's why, in youth, this skill often goes unnoticed, because it takes time to value the now. It takes experiencing loss to understand what it truly means to be with someone. Maturity shows us that the best memories aren't made of incredible places or grand events. They're made of presence, of small moments when someone was fully there, soul open, heart available. How often, when we were younger, were we with our parents, children, or loved ones, only to look back later and feel we didn't truly cherish it, that our minds were too full, our attention scattered, our gaze distracted? Maturity gives that back to us. It teaches us to look into eyes with calm, to listen without the anxiety of responding, to touch with intention, to sit together just to be without the need to say anything, only to share the silence. And this changes everything. It changes the quality of relationships. It changes how we see ourselves. It even changes how we remember people, because those who were truly present leave marks. Not on social media, not in photographs, but in emotional memory, in the heart, in how we feel when we remember them. True presence is a form of love, one of the purest. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't require physical effort or grand gestures. It only asks for surrender, attention, choice, and in maturity, we have that in abundance. We have more patience, more awareness, more desire to live deeply in the now. That's why the greatest gift you can give someone and yourself is your full presence. In a world where everyone is running, distracted, connected to everything except the person beside them, being someone who is fully there becomes an act of healing, an act of love, a gesture that young eyes might not understand, but that the mature soul recognizes as essential. And this is the kind of wealth you can't buy, can't teach with words, and can't see in a hurry. You have to stop, breathe, and be present in body, soul, and heart. That's where the true transformation of maturity begins. Patience has a silent strength. In youth, patience is mistaken for weakness, for surrender, for passivity. It's as if waiting were a sign that something went wrong, that you're behind. or being left behind. Youth wants everything now. Immediate answers, quick results, change in the snap of a finger. And when that doesn't happen, frustration sets in, the anxiety, the urge to drop everything and start over. But time. Time teaches differently. With maturity, we discover that patience isn't slowness. It's depth. It's a strength that makes no noise, a courage that moves slowly, but steadily. You begin to realize that the most important things in life, the ones that truly matter, don't come from haste. Love, trust, forgiveness, wisdom. None of them happen overnight. They're cultivated with time, with presence, with faith. And that's when patience reveals its true beauty. Because it teaches you to endure, to keep watering even when there are no flowers yet, to stay even when everything inside you begs you to run, to wait. Not as someone who resigns, but as someone who believes. Patience is believing in the unseen. It's knowing there's a right time for everything, and that forcing life is like pulling a flower by its roots, expecting it to grow faster. It won't. It dies. Maturity teaches us that there's wisdom in silence, in the space between what we desire and what we achieve. That waiting is often the soul's time of preparation, and that what seems like delay may actually be protection. Patience also changes how we relate to others. We begin to understand that everyone has their own time to comprehend, to change, to learn. Maturity brings a gentleness to our gaze, a compassion to our words. You no longer get as irritated by others' haste. You no longer judge so easily, because you know how hard it is to walk the inner path, and how precious it is to be welcomed by someone who waits for you, without rush, without demands. Patience is a gift you give others, but also yourself. It's when you stop torturing yourself for not getting everything right. When you learn to respect your own limits, when you understand that starting over takes time, and that's okay. There's no shame in moving slower. Shame is living in a rush. And getting nowhere. As the years pass, we stop trying to control everything. And we start observing, breathing deeply, trusting that what's meant to be will be in its own time. And that meanwhile we grow stronger, more refined, more prepared. Young think patience is a waste of time, but the mature understand patience is what keeps us from wasting life. Because living in a hurry is living halfway, but living with patience is living with presence, with awareness, with love, and this kind of silent strength. Young eyes don't see, but those who've weathered many seasons recognize it as one of the most precious gifts time can give. The empathy born from pain. Empathy is a beautiful word. It's trendy, it's in campaigns, it's in speeches. But true empathy, that isn't learned in a lecture or copied from a ready-made phrase. It's born from pain, from experience, from something you felt so deeply, it changed how you see others. When we're young, we're quick to judge. We think we know everything, that others make mistakes by choice, that giving advice is enough to solve anything. But as life goes on, and you face your own storms, something shifts. You lose some of that rigidity, that black and white thinking, and you gain something far more valuable, compassion. True empathy begins when you live through what you never thought you would, when you feel abandonment, fear, failure, or guilt firsthand, when you understand that falling isn't weakness, it's part of the journey. And that those who've fallen don't need judgment. They need shelter. Maturity gives you a new way of listening. A listening without rush, without formulas, without interruptions. You hear someone, and even if their words are different from yours, the feeling behind them touches you. Because you've felt something similar. You've been in a dark place and didn't know how to leave. You've needed a hug and gotten a lecture instead. You've been afraid to show your pain and faked strength. And that's where mature empathy is born. The kind that doesn't try to fix the other person, that doesn't rush to offer answers. That simply stays present, whole, silent. As if to say, I don't have all the solutions, but I'm with you, and that's enough. This way of loving, without invading, of understanding without needing to know everything, is a wisdom that time teaches, because pain refines you. It makes you more tender toward others' pain. You start noticing subtleties you once missed, the wavering tone of voice, the distant gaze, the weight of absence, and you begin offering simple, powerful gestures, a touch on the shoulder, and "I'm here," a respectful silence. Empathy also changes how you see those who've hurt you. You start to see that behind a harsh act, there's often a wounded soul, that anger is often fear in disguise, and that forgiveness, when given with empathy, isn't weakness. It's liberation. You don't excuse the mistake, but you understand the pain that caused it. This doesn't mean you accept everything. Maturity also teaches boundaries, but they're firm and humane. You say no with respect. You walk away. With compassion, you protect yourself. Without wishing harm. The empathy born from pain is quiet, almost invisible, but those who felt it recognize it. It turns conversations into encounters, strangers into fellow travelers, wounds into bridges. And deep down, that's what we all seek. To be seen, to be heard. To feel that our pain doesn't isolate us, but brings us closer. And maturity, with all its scars, reminds us, the deeper the pain you've faced. The greater your capacity to hold someone else's pain. And this, my friend. Young eyes don't see, but the matured soul feels it, lives it, and passes it on. The power of no longer needing to prove anything. In youth, everything feels like a competition, a fight for attention, for recognition, for space. It's as if there's an invisible urgency constantly whispering, show you're good enough, that you have worth, that you deserve to be seen. And we play along. We study to impress. We buy to belong. We post to be applauded. We speak to assert ourselves. We spend our lives trying to prove we're capable. Strong, right? But maturity, with its quiet wisdom, arrives and changes everything. It shows you that you no longer need to prove anything to one, that your worth doesn't depend on likes, job titles, accolades, or others' opinions, that you don't need to be the fastest, the prettiest, the smartest. You just need to be you. And that is freedom. With time, you realize so much of what once felt urgent no longer matters. You no longer engage in every argument. You don't need the last word. You don't need to convince anyone to understand you, because you understand yourself. And that's enough. Maturity brings a calm that's striking. While others rush, you observe. While they shout, you stay silent. While they show off, you withdraw. Not out of cowardice but wisdom. You discover true strength is in balance. In the serenity of those who don't beg to be seen. Who know their presence speaks for itself, that their gaze carries peace, and that sometimes the greatest power is simply not reacting. Not explaining. Not justifying. This tranquility only comes with years, only after countless attempts to please, to fit in, to be accepted. Until one day you look in the mirror and realize, I no longer need to be who they expect me to be. I can finally be who I am. And so you begin making lighter choices. You choose silence where you once would have argued. You choose peace where you once sought victory. You choose simplicity where you once craved admiration. This transforms your relationships. You stop competing and start collaborating. Stop comparing and start appreciating. Stop trying to change others and start accepting. You understand everyone moves at their own pace, that every soul has its rhythm, and you're neither better nor worse for where you are. You just are. And that, in itself, is enough. The power of no longer needing to prove anything is quiet, almost invisible. But it changes everything. How you stand, how you love, how you live. And in the end, it gives you what no external achievement ever could: peace of mind. Quiet confidence, and a serene knowing that you're exactly where you should be. This is a beauty young eyes rarely see, because it's not in accomplishments, but in surrender, not in the wisdom of those who've learned that what truly matters doesn't need a stage, just truth. The silence that comforts, in youth. Silence UNSEDTLEs, it's seen as emptiness. Absence, something to be filled. Conversation must continue, music must play, phones must buzz, because in silence, the young feel lost. But maturity teaches that silence isn't absence, it's presence in its purest form. It's when the world's noise fades and we finally hear ourselves. How often have we sought answers outside, in others' voices, in ready-made advice? Only after much wandering do we realize the truest answers dwell in silence. The silence of being alone, yet not lonely. The silence of a quiet afternoon, with only the wind, the birds, or your own heartbeat. This is where the soul breathes. Maturity offers this new way of listening. Not to rebut, not to defend, but to hold space. To understand, you sit beside someone and need no words. Presence is enough. A glance says what language cannot. And often, shared silence becomes more intimate than any conversation. There's a silence that doesn't isolate, it connects. The silence of those who need neither proof nor persuasion. Who stand wholly there, unhurried, unmasked, unarmored. This also changes how we relate to memories. Some recollections have no sound, but they have weight. Scent, color, silence, like the silence of someone's absence after they're gone, or the silence of a hug that lasted longer than necessary, because words would have been useless. Maturity teaches that silence can be a gift. Space for healing, for rest, for RECONNECTION. Today, you might realize the most important conversations of your life weren't the longest, but those where someone simply stayed beside you and let you feel. And perhaps, in that moment, that silence saved you. Comforting silence isn't cold or distant. It's gentle, respectful. It says, I'm here, even without words. And in a world where everything is shouted, where everyone demands to be heard, offering silence as shelter is a revolutionary act. This peace that only silence brings can't be taught. It's lived, felt, and only truly understood when the soul has endured enough noise, enough pain, enough hurry. In maturity, you learn to cherish this quiet space within. You stop rushing. Stop reacting impulsively. Stop losing yourself in others' expectations. You simply breathe. Stay. Wait. Listen. And in that silence, life speaks, softly but clearly, without rush but with depth, without shouting, yet reaching where no words ever could. The young fear silence, but the mature embrace it, because they know sometimes it's in silence that the soul finds its resting place. The lightness of forgiveness. Forgiveness. Such a difficult word to live by, and so easy to say. When we're young, we believe forgiveness depends on the other person, on the apology that never came, on the change that never happened, on the justice that was never served. So we cling to resentment as a form of protest, as if it could shield us from pain. But time, with its relentless patience, shows us another truth. Holding on to grudges is heavy. Too heavy. With maturity, we come to understand that forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Not because the other person deserves it, but because we deserve to move forward. We deserve to live without that constant shadow, without that knot in our chest, without that conversation replaying in our heads. Long after the day is done, forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's not pretending it didn't hurt. It's not saying it was fine when it wasn't. It's acknowledging the wound. Honoring the pain. And choosing not to let it define who you are from here on out. It's like setting down a heavy suitcase you've carried for miles, only then realizing how much it weighed you down. It's slowly releasing what was never yours to control. Because at its core, forgiveness is accepting that we can't change the past, but we can choose how to live in the present. And when we forgive, something shifts. Not in the other person, but within us. The soul grows quiet. The heart slows its pace. Life begins to flow again. Sometimes, forgiveness also means looking in the mirror, because with maturity, we realize we too have hurt others. We too have failed. We too have left marks. And if we wish to be forgiven, we must also learn to forgive ourselves. Yes, it's hard, but it's possible. And more than that, it's liberating. Forgiveness brings lightness back to our relationships. It lets us look at someone and see beyond the pain they caused. It lets us walk our path without pockets full of stones, because nothing is sadder than growing old with a bitter heart. No wrinkles weigh heavier than those carved by old resentments. Time heals, yes, but forgiveness speeds up the process. And sometimes it's what makes real healing possible. In youth, forgiveness feels like surrender. In maturity, it's a gift of peace. A gift of presence, a gift of freedom. And the most beautiful part, when you forgive, you don't erase the past, you transform it. You take what hurt you and turn it into wisdom. Into growth. Into strength. Because in the end, the lightness we seek isn't found in what we gain, but in what we let go of. And forgiveness is one of the bravest acts a person can choose. Courage. Young eyes don't always understand. But when the mature heart carries with gratitude, love without rush. Young love is haste. It's urgency, intensity, a flame that burns too fast. We fall in love like diving into a river without knowing its depth. We want to live it all at once. We make grand promises, public declarations, eternal vows. But time. Time teaches another kind of love. A love that isn't in a hurry, that doesn't need to prove anything, that doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply is. In maturity, love changes form. It grows quieter. And far more real. It thrives not on grand gestures, but on small details. A cup of coffee made just how the other likes it. A blanket pulled over shoulders in the middle of the night. A silence shared without discomfort. Mature love is knowing flaws and choosing to stay anyway. It's understanding that some days are bright and others are hard. It's realizing love isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's care. It's presence. And perhaps the most beautiful part? With maturity, we stop confusing love with intensity. And start valuing constancy. Showing up every day, even when there are no fireworks. Because love without rush isn't fed by drama. It's strengthened by routine. This is the love that knows being together isn't suffocation. Walking side by side, respecting space, silence, and each other's pace. It's the love that knows how to wait. How to forgive, how to hold someone even when words fail. And you know what? This unrushed love is lighter because it doesn't demand masks. You no longer need to seem strong, happy, or on all the time. You can just be with your fears, your quirks, your scars, and so can the other person. Together, you learn that love is this: accepting. Holding space. Taking care. It's no wonder many only discover this love after years, after disappointments, mistakes, and fresh starts. Because this love isn't born from passion. It's single quotes S born from encounter, the meeting of two souls no longer in a race. Two souls who've realized life moves too fast to spend it running from themselves. And that real love is a place of peace. Home. A harbor. Love without rush doesn't need fireworks. It's content with the soft light of a quiet morning. An unexpected gesture of kindness. Simple, I'm home safe at the end of the day. And this, my friend. Young eyes often miss because they're too busy chasing spectacle, never realizing that the extraordinary lives in the ordinary. Mature love knows relationships aren't sustained by the intensity of beginnings. But by the tenderness of the middle, the daily choice, the quiet, steady affection. and the care that never tires of saying, even without words, I'm still here. Love without rush. Young love is haste, urgency, intensity, a flame that burns too fast. We fall in love like diving into a river without knowing its depth. We want to experience everything at once. We make grand promises, public declarations, eternal vows. But time. Time teaches a different kind of love. A love that isn't rushed, that doesn't need to prove anything, that doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply is. With maturity, love transforms. It becomes quieter. And far more genuine. It thrives not on grand gestures, but on small details. A cup of coffee made just how the other likes it. A blanket pulled up in the middle of the night. A comfortable shared silence. Mature love knows imperfections, yet chooses to stay. It understands there are good days and difficult ones. It recognizes that love isn't perfection. It's perseverance. It's care. It's presence. And perhaps most beautiful of all, with maturity, we stop confusing love with intensity. And begin to value constancy. Being there every day, even when there are no grand emotions, because unhurried love isn't fed by drama, it's strengthened by routine. This is the love that understands being together isn't suffocating. But walking side by side, respecting space, silence, and each other's pace. It's the kind of love that knows how to wait, how to forgive, how to comfort, even when words fail. And you know what? This unhurried love is lighter because it doesn't demand masks. You no longer need to appear always strong, always happy, always on. You can simply be yourself, with your fears, your quirks, your scars, and so can the other person. Together, you learn that love is this: acceptance. Understanding. Care. It's no wonder many only discover this love after years, after disappointments, mistakes, and new beginnings, because this love isn't born from passion. It's single quotes s born from connection, the meeting of two souls, no longer in a hurry, who've realized life moves too fast to spend it running from oneself. And that true love is a place of peace. Home, a safe harbor. Love without rush doesn't need fireworks. It's content with the soft light of a quiet morning. An unexpected tender gesture, a simple I'm home safe at day's end. And this, my friend. Young eyes often miss, because they're too busy chasing something spectacular, failing to see that the extraordinary. Lives in simplicity. Mature love knows what sustains a relationship isn't the intensity of beginnings. The tenderness of the everyday. The daily choice, the quiet affection built over time. The care that never tires of saying, even without words, I'm still here.